ladies and gentlemen, media representatives. It is my distinct pleasure to be here together with my colleagues and friends from Vermont who have visited North Macedonia recently and with whom we have discussed a very, very ambitious agenda. So General Knight, Lieutenant Governor Gray, Secretary Curley, it's really a pleasure to thank you all on behalf of the government of North Macedonia for the really ongoing partnership, cooperation and friendship all these years. It is really nice to be in Vermont at such a beautiful day. Some people have made the comment that this is due to our national flag, which has the sun on it. So when our delegation arrived, you really got the typical Macedonian weather. We felt really at home here in Vermont because we have met many people that we know, many people with whom we have developed our defense cooperation, and we have talked about what lies ahead and what are the possibilities for our future cooperation. My team and I had really a very successful political tour in DC prior to coming here to Vermont. So the visit to Vermont was really like an icing on the cake, concluding a very successful US tour. And this tour happens an year and a half after our membership into NATO, which we have waited for almost 3 decades. And I have to say that making this goal a reality was of course a result of several generations of men and women, particularly in the military, but also in the political affairs. But it was the military, the defense framework that was heavily supported by the US. So it went to trainings, joint exercises, joint endeavors, joint deployments. But if you analyze the framework that was very much made possible by the US, it is the human contacts with Vermont, the day-to-day relationships between many men and women from both sides of the Atlantic that made this goal achievable. I have to say that we are very proud of our partnership with Vermont. Approximately 5,000 soldiers from North Macedonia have been part of the cooperation program so far. It is incredible. It's more than 50% of our total armed forces. There is no soldier in the Army of the Republic of North Macedonia that doesn't know about Vermont. They might miss California and Florida. They might not know anything about Texas and Alaska, but they do know Vermont. And I think that this speaks very highly of the cooperation that we have developed so far. Next year, for the first time, we will host a big military exercise with airborne elements. And we expect the team from the National Guard of Vermont to join us as well. It will be another chance for us to show how close and successful our cooperation is. We want to send our people to Vermont to continue our discussions about civil protection and disaster response training. We have seen that climate change is bringing new challenges to us all throughout the world, and we see that we have to be quicker in our adaptation efforts, and I do hope that we can count on Vermont's support for this. Our protection system will change to the better and more efficient, and we will use some of your experience to that end. We cooperate in many other fields. At this moment, there is, as the General said, another Macedonian delegation that deals with educational cooperation, but also commercial elements. And we do hope that we will be able to continue our excellent cooperation with Norwich University. We do have a Vermont team that helps us on cyber, and we do hope that we will be able to work together, not only for the sake of Vermont and North Macedonia, but also as support to other countries from our region back in the Balkans on fighting fake news and disinformation. So this is a very, very ambitious agenda. And in normal circumstances, I would say this is too much. But based on what we have achieved so far, I think really the sky is the limit. Finally, before concluding with a big thank you to my hosts, let me say that I visited Vermont 3 years ago. And I had, of course, a lot of pledges that I made to my ministry and to the great men and women in our armed forces. We made that happen. You know, we have offered them a more elaborate, more complex cooperation with Vermont. I do believe that in many areas and with many countries, defense cooperation was the first stepping stone on increased cooperation in different sectors. And I think that we have made that visible also in the case of Vermont and North Macedonia. So let me thank each and every one of you for this generous hospitality. And let me say that as a member of NATO, now we don't call ourselves US partner. We do pride ourselves to be an ally. But there is an extra level above being an ally, and that is being a friend. So I thank Vermont for being a friend of North Macedonia throughout these years. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see everybody. So I'm Major General Greg Knight. I'm Vermont's Adjutant General. And I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming the Minister of Defense from North Macedonia, Ms. Radmila Šekerinska, our Lieutenant Governor, Molly Gray, and our Secretary of Commerce and Community Development, Ms. Lindsay Curley. So they'll provide comments before we answer any questions that you have. But first, I'd like to provide you a little bit of additional perspective about our state partnership with North Macedonia and what we've worked to accomplish here over the past few days. So this goes back to '93. Our Vermont National Guard began a partnership with North Macedonia, and then 13 years ago, in 2008, we initiated a partnership with Senegal. So since its inception, we participated in many training exercises with North Macedonia, provided advisory and training support to the military's non-commissioned officer corps, other military training and operations, force structure development, and most recently improving domestic emergency preparedness and response capabilities. Perhaps most significant over the course of our partnership, in 2010, North Macedonia deployed with our 86th Brigade to Afghanistan. And I believe that was a first for the state partnership program across the National Guard. So since our partnership began in '93, we've sent Vermont National Guard officers to serve in the U.S. Embassy of North Macedonia as bilateral affairs officers, and those are tours of normally 2 to 3 years. We've hosted several key leader engagements, and Vermont Adjutants General and other military leaders have made numerous trips and key leader engagements to North Macedonia. I would like to again take this opportunity to congratulate North Macedonia and Minister of Defense Šekerinska on North Macedonia's acceptance into NATO in March of 2020. It's an honor for us to have some small role in that through our partnership, and is truly a remarkable achievement and speaks volumes to us about the dedication of North Macedonia to our partnership. So what makes the National Guard State Partnership Program special is its design of pairing state National Guards with host nation civic and military leaders. And all of them are very likely to mature within their respective organizations throughout their careers. So as a result, we have long-lasting and meaningful relationships. For instance, I made my first visit to North Macedonia in 2001, and many of the folks that I made contact with and who've since become my colleagues, I've known for 20 years, and now they're members of the General Staff and senior leaders in their Army. So our partnership with North Macedonia really facilitates the continuity of effort with the ambassador, the theater commander, all interested agencies, and certainly the minister and the chief of defense. And we work to sustain and grow our mutual defense interests. So now, after nearly 3 decades of partnership, we're ready to explore growing our relationship from military to military to include the possibility of an enhanced economic initiative. And that's why I've asked Lieutenant Governor Gray and Secretary Curley to join me in traveling to North Macedonia earlier this summer. That was the first senior civic leader engagement we've had there in a number of years, and it was remarkably successful, as evidenced by Minister Šekerinska being here today, very close on the heels of that visit. But while we were there, we examined opportunities in the areas of agriculture, tourism, community development, legislative engagement, and university programs. And now, they're here to do much of the same. So there are 2 agendas this week. One, obviously the Minister of Defense working with me and our team and her delegation, but there's an economic development team that worked with the Lieutenant Governor and Secretary on their own agenda. We've been across the state over the last couple of days, introducing them to different aspects of our military operations and training, as well as the opportunity with our economic education and other business programs. And for us, that's central to building those relationships that are part of a continued cooperation.
Thank you, Minister Szekerinska. Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray, and I'm pleased to say a few words regarding Vermont's government participation in this historic partnership and visit over the last couple of days. While Governor Stott can't be here this afternoon, I know this partnership and this visit has his full support, as it does mine. It's been an honor to welcome Minister Szekerinska and a delegation from North Macedonia to Vermont over the last few days. By way of background, as Major General Knight noted, I had the pleasure of traveling with our Vermont National Guard and Secretary Curley to North Macedonia this spring to explore economic partnership and cooperation. As General Knight touched on, this 28-year-long partnership with North Macedonia is expanding to include an emphasis on economic security and cooperation. This is a recognition that economic security is a key component of long-term peace and security, not only for Vermont, but for North Macedonia and countries around the globe. While in North Macedonia, we started identifying key areas of logical partnership, understanding what Vermont has, understanding and learning what North Macedonia has, exchanges of best practices in agriculture and tourism, academic exchanges, in medicine, in environment, community development, as well as trade opportunities, and you heard about the wine from the minister. Now, just months later, to welcome a first economic delegation of leaders from North Macedonia to Vermont has been a natural next step in this partnership that is truly building momentum. I think it's been about 3.5 months since I was sitting in the minister's office. On Sunday, we welcomed U.S. Ambassador to North Macedonia, Kate Burns, who unfortunately can't be with us today because she's headed back to Washington, as well as economic advisors from the U.S. Embassy in Skopje, from academic institutions, the University of St. Cyril and Methodius, and business leaders. Over the last few days, I've helped to connect these leaders with their counterparts, including the faculty at the University of Vermont, from the medical school, from the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, and also with faculty and the new president at Norwich University. I want to thank our educational leaders who can't be here today for the warm welcome and for their sincere interest in and willingness to support international program and exchange, particularly in the areas of agriculture, in dairy, in food systems, in community development, and in medicine. I look forward to continuing to work with Ambassador Burns, with the North Macedonian delegation of participants, and our Vermont academic leaders to begin to develop true programming that will help strengthen this incredible partnership. I also want to express my most sincere appreciation to Minister Szekerinska for her visionary and inclusive leadership. As I said, we sat together in her office in June, and to be able to welcome her back to Vermont is a true testament to the momentum of this partnership and her commitment. On a personal note, and I will take this liberty, as a woman new to politics, living in a country that has never had a woman serve as Secretary of Defense, your service as Minister of Defense gives young women across the globe and also here in Vermont a sense of what is possible. So I'll just say thank you for blazing the trail. It's been an honor to have you in the Green Mountain State. Thank you for prioritizing this relationship and for giving so many Vermonters, particularly our Vermont National Guard members, the opportunity to work in and travel to North Macedonia. Partnership takes strong, inclusive, trusting, and welcoming partners. It takes visionary partners, and you embody all of the above. In closing, I just want to recognize our Vermont National Guard and General Knight for his vision and for his leadership. We are living in challenging times, not only here in the state, not only across the United States, and this partnership continues to inspire service. I think it continues to inspire service by our Vermont National Guard. I've also been reminded that although we are Vermonters and although we are Americans, we are also global citizens. And our strength comes in our allies, our strength comes in our friendships, and our strength comes in our ability to tackle challenges ahead of us. So with that, again, Minister, I want to thank you for traveling to Vermont. I look forward to a partnership, but most importantly, a friendship, and the work we're going to do together over the coming years.